wings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again on a Thursday. Just chilling. Nothing crazy happening right now except for anticipation for these fights. UFC 305, we got Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm excited for this one. And I mean, the main card is pretty good. The undercard isn't crazy stacked or nothing, but we got a fight. We got a pay-per-view. Bad blood going on between the two main event guys, and it's always fun watching Israel Adesanya fight. Very few times is it boring or shitty, so that's fun. That's coming up. Last week's fights, pretty much garbage, unfortunately. I hate to say it, sucks, but it's true. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a few, but otherwise, yeah, you know, fucking annoyed. And I'm annoyed because this is very stupid and it's very everyday bullshit that I'm sure everybody goes through. But when you like order food and you order it a certain way, the hell can't you get it that way? I never understood that, especially when it's in fucking writing. Like everything that you order online these days, I mean, they ask you if you have special instructions or notes or anything like that. Now I'm like, yeah, people are probably like, nobody fucking reads that. Which, sure, I get it. You know what I mean? But like, why put it there if you're not going to pay attention to it? I mean, why are we even bothering? Doesn't make any sense. If there's an option for having something taken off, or if there's an option to have less than normal, like less than normal cheese on a pizza, don't hate me. Don't talk shit. It's just the way I like it. I don't like a lot of cheese on my pizza. And I know you're saying, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's what's on pizza is cheese. I get it. But that's me. I don't like a lot of cheese. I don't like cheese in general. I can only handle it on pizza. But when there's a lot of cheese, yeah, no, I don't like it. And I'm sure a lot of my friends know about this already. But if you don't, I'm sorry for being weird, but that's just how I am. My wife doesn't like a lot of sauce, so I'm not the only weird one. But I know people are in love with fucking cheese. Cheese is life. Cheese is everything. Fuck off with your cheese. I don't like it. And then I don't think it's a lactose intolerant thing, although it might be. Who knows? But it's not that it like does anything. It just makes me fucking throw up. Like I get just a big bite of something with on it and I will fucking automatically puke. So it is what it is. But when my wife says rude because I'm talking about her dislike for sauce on pizza. Sauce is the best part if you ask me. I mean, aside from the toppings, but no, it's just I don't know, man. I can't do it. I like way back in the day I took a bite of a burrito that wasn't supposed to have cheese in it, and it was globbed with cheese, and I'm talking like just milliseconds after I took that bite, I hadn't even bit into the whole thing, and I did. I took a big bite, started chewing, and realized there was cheese. Look at the burrito, and there's cheese, and puke I was puking before I even saw that there was cheese in it. So it's disgusting to me. I'm sorry. I'm fucking weird. I get it. But you know, you order a pizza and it says, you know, regular, like normal, extra, or light on cheese and sauce. If you give that option, then fucking adhere to it. That's all I'm saying. You know, like it says light cheese. It's an option in your fucking menu. Then let me do it. It's not like I asked for it special because it's there. It's an option. It's like, you want pepperoni or no pepperoni? If I say pepperoni, you don't give me pepperoni, then what the fuck? What are we doing? So if I say light cheese, make my fucking pizza with light cheese. And if you think light cheese is keep going, I would normally keep going, but I'll stop here. I would normally keep going about that much more. That's not light. Just because that's a little less than you would put in the, come on. What the fuck are we doing? This is stupid. This is stupid. It's like Burger King, have it your way. Motherfucker, I can't get it my way if you give me my burger with cheese and I didn't fucking ask for it. So no, Burger King, it's not my fucking way. All right? Speaking of Burger King, I'm tying it all in here because those goddamn commercials on the UFC, I'm sick and tired of seeing them. Sick of the fucking BK commercials. Like, get the fuck out of here with Burger King. Tired of it. I don't even want to go there. I see those fucking commercials too much. Now I'm just ranting. But it ties in, man. The UFC on ESPN, I get it. Sponsors, fuck you. Like, that Burger King commercial can fuck off because it's just too much. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Sick and tired of hearing it. Every time you watch fights, it's nothing but BK, have it your way. Fuck off. So I'm sick of it. I need to take a drink. But if you give the option, then please fucking do what it says because you gave the option. So you ask me what color I want my car, and I say fucking burnt orange, even though I probably wouldn't. But if I said that, don't give me fucking neon pink because I said fucking orange. What are you doing? It's common sense, people. Come on. You're sitting there making pizzas all day. You look at the ticket, you do what the ticket says, you fucking make the pizza. Why is my pizza different every goddamn time? You guys weigh out your toppings. You won't put any extra unless you ask for it. You won't put any extra. It's like, it says this many, I'm going to put this many. But then cheese, oh, it's fucking, throw a goddamn gallon of cheese on there. What are we doing? Let's get it right. I'm fucking annoyed. Because, like, on Thursdays, we just order food because I usually make dinner. And I'm prepping for this. So we just order food. So that way I don't have the stress of having, even though it's still stressful, because I'm like, we got to order at a certain time so I can be ready and I can have time to come in here, finish my last few things before I get started, gather my shit. So yeah, it's still a little stressful, but it's less stressful than if I had to stand in the kitchen and fucking make food or go out in the grill and make food. You know, it's less stress than that, and it takes less time. So, and I never know when I'm gonna get off work. Sometimes I get off work a little later. Tends to happen on these days. It's annoying, but yeah. So we order food. So I'm just like, you know, especially if I order it to come to my house, like I get it. This is like first world problems. You know, you're lucky to fucking order food and get it delivered to your house. I get it. But that's just like the normal these days, right? Yeah, fuck Pizza Hut, Magics. You guys made me hate Pizza Hut more because that's all you motherfuckers ever talk about is pizza. I'm just kidding. I really like Pizza Hut pizza. I really do. It's weird because I prefer 1,000 other pizzas ahead of it. But if I'm getting something delivered, I'm usually cool with Pizza Hut almost always. Domino's, pretty good, but I like Pizza Hut a lot. I don't like Papa John's. Go fuck off with Papa John's. That shit's nasty too. Little Caesars, fuck right off. I've had other various types. I can't think of it right now. Pizza and Domino's is usually the ones. If I'm getting it delivered and it's a quick, easy thing, that's what I'm doing. And they still talk about it. Infinity says, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I don't have to bust out the counter like I used to because they used to say Pizza Hut so goddamn much on the Technically Unsound podcast, by the way. Live Tuesdays and Sundays. Lots of tech talk, lots of fun stuff. Drinking, we always do. Drink tastings, taste all kinds of different seltzers and other kinds of shit. It's fun. Buzzballs and beatboxes, if you know what those are, you know there's a lot of alcohol in that shit. And we're drinking it every Tuesday and Sunday, at least one. And if you're Magics, you're taking a sip out of like 6 of them. It's not a first world problem. It's you paid for it. You want it your way. Yeah. No. Okay. See, thank you, Magics. I agree with you this time. You're right. I fucking paid for it. I'm paying extra for the delivery. I'm paying extra for the convenience. I'm still got a tip. I got to do all this other extra shit. I can't even get my fucking pizza right. And a lot of you might say, oh, well, send it back. Call in. Yeah, but I want my pizza fucking now. I ordered it with enough time to eat right now. I can't wait another 20 to 30 minutes for them to remake the shit, probably wrong again, and then fucking have this slow ass fuck drive it to me, walk up as slow as possible to my door, and look at me weird when I open the door before they hit the doorbell. Shut up. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know what's wrong with people. I'm sorry. It's just, it was an annoying thing today, so I had to go over it. But anyway, yeah, it happens everywhere. I am a picky eater. I will admit that. You know, go figure. Fucking fat guy. I don't know. I get it. You don't have to say it. I get it. But it's just one of those things. Because for real, they charge you so much fucking money, and places like Burger King, BK, have it your way. And it's like, no. If I had it my way, you'd have some different burgers on there, you dumbasses. But you don't. So that's it. End up on the movie waiting. What is it? I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop with my stupid food rant. But you know, it's one of the many things. Here I go. Just keep going. It's one of the many things that happens in a lot of places. You know, you order shit, ordering groceries too. Like they get some weird shit that you shouldn't get. And what are we doing? Like paying all these different fees for people to just do what they're supposed to do. And then, yeah, Fitzy Magic says, could have been worse. You could have Rachel Ray Gun breakdance it to your door. Oh, the movie waiting. Yeah, I got you now. Magics, though, yeah. Oh, my God. Olympics and breakdancing. It's a damn shame. I can show you Infinity the Wife Knows. Yeah. No, that's one of my favorite movies, too. So fucking... I know. And Infinity and Tommy would be like, yeah, you keep complaining about that Pizza Hut. If we were still working there, we'd be doing some shit to your food. As a child, you were a picky eater, my mom says. Yeah, I know. It sucks. She made me start cooking my own food because I was so picky, which is fine because I grew up to like cook all the time. So it's okay. It was kind of it was a good lesson that I learned, and it was a good survival tool of mine as I grew up, because she's like, fuck this, you're too picky, make your own goddamn food. I'm like, yeah, what? I don't blame you. Like back then I was like, oh, this is annoying. That sucks. Tell kids today make their own food if they want to be picky. They're like, it's not gonna go eat fucking Oreos or something instead of making their own food. But my kid the Batwing, my kids did learn some shit. Haley's been cooking a lot more. Trent still doesn't get down too much with cooking. She does more than she used to, though, because she lives on her own now with her girlfriend and got to cook if she wants. So I don't know how much she cooks. She doesn't talk about it much, so I might be completely wrong. But yeah, cooking can be a stress reliever, Magics, but it can also be very fucking irritating when things don't go your way. Like when you turn on a charcoal grill because you want to grill something on a Weber, and that's how you feel like having it, and the wind starts picking up outside, and then it just blows everything out, and that's annoying. You got to turn on the smoker and start it there. Here we go again with this fucking problems that aren't really problems. At least I have a backup way. There's always a way to finish it, right? Anyway, I'm just continuing to go down the wrong road of what this show's about. But in the end, Mom, thank you for forcing me to cook, because that made me learn how to cook a lot of shit, and that's good. That's how it should be. Yeah, I always had to make 2 different meals. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So you forced me to learn how to cook. I learned how to cook some simple shit, like just some fucking... We used to do some peppered steak, like legit peppered steak with soy sauce and white rice. Me and my friends would make that all the fucking time. And it was like our best meal that we would cook, so we'd have it all the time. Yeah, those are the days. But anyway, thanks again, Mom, for teaching me how to cook, because... useful tool for the rest of my life. Anyway, let's get back to what we're here for. MMA, combat sports, all that good shit. Like I said, last weekend's fights were atrocious. That's all I can say. I don't feel bad saying it anymore, because every goddamn other show I listen to, we're talking about how bad these fights were. There was only 10 fights on the card, the Apex card. And, you know, we've had some good fights there, but most of them have been shitty fights. Primo, gotta have that white rice, yo. Primo will eat white rice by itself as a meal, and he'll eat it with other shit as a meal. He wants white rice with everything. If I know anything about my bro, that's what I know. He give him a plate of white rice with whatever he's eating, and he's gonna be happy. Maybe that's that Asian side of him. He'll say it himself too, so don't come at me for that shit. It's funny though. But yeah, so like everybody I've heard talking about how shitty last week's card was, and they're not wrong. And I don't feel bad for saying it because what do I care? They're not paying me to fucking talk about it. This, and neither are they paying attention to me talking about this. Who gives a shit? I'll give my opinion. And my opinion is the fucking fights at the Apex suck. These days, especially, they use it as a filler. They use it as, oh, we don't know where to put these people because nobody knows who the fuck they are. So we're going to put them all in one card and bore the shit out of everybody. And then Dana wonders why there's fucking 7 decisions in a row. It's like, bro, because you're doing this shit. That's why. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into that in a few. Nothing much else. Nothing other. No other big crazy shit going on. As far as MMA stuff right now, just in between stuff, the lead up to this pay-per-view, you know, there's still other things where I pretty much stopped, with the rice and chopsticks. I'm looking at the chat again. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, so I mean, one championship has a lot of events, but none of them have been very big. They haven't been pushing on the promotion of them much. Like I used to see it so much more. I used to hear other podcasts talk about it so much more. You know, it used to be way more intriguing, and now it's just like kind of fell off a little bit. And then the PFL acquires Bellator. You're thinking, okay, Bellator promotion sucks always, and you never know when the fuck they're fighting. Well, PFL follows that same damn, like, just the same damn game plan of not really knowing when they're fighting, how they're on ESPN and ESPN Plus, but yet you barely know when the fuck those fights are happening. Tomorrow, by the way, I'll touch on that in a second, and I do mean touch lightly, but yeah. So I mean, you would think that there would be all this other, and there's really not. I mean, the UFC has such a fucking monopoly on the MMA, like entirety of MMA, and it's getting to the point where they're not giving a shit as much because they've pretty much cornered the US market. I mean, without a doubt, right? So now they're paying attention to more global shit. Like they're getting global, and that's cool. That's fine. But don't make, you know, where you started and what fed you. Don't make that suffer. And it's kind of like that's what they're doing in a way because they're paying so much attention to this outside stuff outside of the US. And I get it. If there's no room for growth here, I guess you got to do that. But it just seems weird. You know, especially with like next month's pay-per-view, UFC Noche happening in Las Vegas at the Sphere. I get it. He's already spent like 20 mil on that card, on the production, on the venue, on everything else. It's supposed to be a one and done. Everything's going to be insane. I heard him talking about how it's going to be a story, like I guess sounding like for the main card, it's going to start, and the visuals and everything and the screens and all that are going to start with being like the beginning of combat sports in Mexico, like fighting in Mexico. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of boxing and a lot of stuff like that. I don't know. They're going to tell a story all the way throughout until you get to the last fight, what's going to be the future of Mexican boxing, even though the main event fighters are Mexican. What? But it's a banger of a fight. Sugar Sean O'Malley, who is married to a Mexican woman, and so he has a half Mexican daughter. So I guess, you know, you get the pass there. And Merab Dvalishvili is a Georgian guy from Russia, and fucking yet he's big with the Mexican like audience for some reason. I don't know. If you see the guy, I guess he could pass as a little Mexican dude. So maybe that's why. I mean, his accent is not that of a Mexican person, that's for sure. But I guess you could get it mixed up. I don't know. But yeah, it's funny. that the main event does not have any Mexican fighters in it, but it's still a great fight. So, I mean, that card I think should be pretty damn good. And I think with all of the surrounding stuff that has to do with it, it's going to be crazy. I know that like the cheapest tickets to go watch at the Sphere are like $3,000 for the cheapest. I'm talking nosebleed, which obviously you're going to be like inside a fucking globe watching fights. So they're good. I mean, you talk about big screen watching at a live event. This is like insane. Like they say you're going to feel like you're immersed in the fight. I don't know. If you've seen anything, I don't remember what the venue's called, but there's another venue in like LA that has some kind of weird half circular type big gigantic screen that you can watch fights on, and the angles of the fights and stuff make it look like you're kind of in the cage. So that's pretty dope. So I could see the Sphere kind of being that way, but nobody really knows at this point. Dana's just been dropping little hints here and there, and they're focusing a lot on it. So that could be crazy. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't even know how I got in this Sphere talk, but it's just the news I've been hearing throughout the week, things like that. So let's make it official. Let's start the show completely. 20 minutes in after me ranting and bitching about stuff not even pertaining to MMA. That's okay. Let's get into combat sports news. And we'll start with Dana White's Contender Series. Now, I missed all this card. I haven't even got a chance to go back and watch them. But I heard they were pretty good for the first night of Dana White's Contender Series for this season. Week 1, they happen Tuesday nights. They're kind of early too if you're here on the like West Coast. Like IMAX for MMA. Yeah, Infinity, exactly, pretty much. But yeah, they happen early. I think it's like a 4 p.m. start or 5 p.m. I think it's 4 p.m. start in Arizona at least. So they start early. So it's like, fuck, I'm barely getting off work. I got to make dinner. I got to do this. On Tuesday nights, I'm making dinner and then jumping into the Technically Unsound podcast. So I don't have a ton of time. I could set my phone up, but I'm not going to pay close attention. I got a lot of shit to do. So I come home, chill for like 15-20 minutes, and then I get up and make dinner basically. So it's tough. It's a tough one to do right away. I usually try to go back and watch it, but I didn't get to this week, and it's the first week. But the first fight started off crazy, and we got a pretty good KO for that first fight on Tuesday night. So we had Abdul Malik versus Schultz. In the middleweight division, welterweight was Ding versus Hamed, which I think was that first fight. Saziani versus Lopez, I think it is, because if he's like Diego Lopez, it's Lopez just spelled with an S. Light heavyweight division, Delgado versus Juarez in the featherweight division, and Kavanaugh versus Ho in the flyweight division. And there we go. And we got the contract winners with Kavanaugh, Delgado, Lopez, and Abdul Malik getting the contracts for Dana White's Contender Series Week 1. Again, I didn't get to really watch them, but it sounded like they were pretty good. And then with Dana White's Contender Series, that means we get extra press conferences where, of course, you know, you're going to get the media asking Dana White questions about other things, even though nothing else happened. There was no other fights, but yet there's upcoming events. There's happenings around the MMA world, fighters on social media, things like that happening. So the media is going to ask questions, and that's normal, but they get a little off the rails sometimes. Dana gets pissed when the first questions have nothing to do with what just happened in the cage, what everybody's there for. He gets pissed about that sometimes, but it is what it is. I guess if they have the time and they have the chance, they're going to take the opportunity to ask the questions they want answered. And a lot of us want answered. So that happened this week, like it will every single fucking week, especially with all these big events coming up. But those were your contract winners. And Dana says the Contender Series has become the way to get into the UFC. It's the ultimate job interview. And I mean, he's not wrong. There's various like paths to get to the UFC. You know, you could be in regional circuits, make your way up to, you know, other organizations that'll get you exposure. LFA was a good feeder league. That's what I was looking for, feeder leagues that you know, kind of spill into the UFC. It's like easier to get in there. You'll get noticed more if you're in these leagues. And yeah, it's just the quickest way to get in. It's just like, you know, for all the other sports, you go through minor leagues and amateurs and all that stuff. But with MMA, there's never been like a clear path or a clear road that anybody paid attention to. And then the Ultimate Fighter came around, and that was your way. Like, get to the Ultimate Fighter. And for a long time, that was the way. That was the path. That was the ultimate job interview. But you were kind of already in the UFC somewhat when you were on the Ultimate Fighter. You know, you're fighting to get that contract, but a lot of those guys wound up spilling over and getting a contract anyway, even though they didn't win, if they put up good performances and they saw potential. So it was like a great exposure for them and a great way for them to get noticed and get put into the UFC. And now it used to be Tuesday night Dana White's Tuesday night Contenders, something like that. Now it's just the Contender Series. But they go and find all these fighters and they bring them in this show. So if they wanted to bring anybody out and they don't want to sign them directly to a contract right away, they'll try them out here in the Contender Series. And it's given us a lot of great fighters. Sugar Sean O'Malley started in the Contender Series. Now he's a goddamn champion. So, and he's a superstar. So we've gotten him. Bo Nickel worked his way up through there, even though a lot of people knew him and knew who he was already. Bo Nickel worked his way up through there. A couple people, Jamal Hill came up through there. He was a champion. Just a bunch of guys have come up through the Contender Series. So that's why Dana had that to say. So after handing out 4 more UFC contracts. Oh, okay. I was trying to read what that said because I thought it had a little more info about something. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is the ultimate job interview. And, you know, he wants to see action. There's been nights where he won't give anybody a contract because too many of the fights went to decision. He saw too much hesitation, not enough sense of urgency to put forth it's win or go home, right? Like, if you don't, but then again, it might not even be getting the UFC if you win, because if you look mediocre while you win, that just means your opponent was that bad or had that bad of a night, and it doesn't mean you get a contract. So there's guys that win that don't get contracts. Austin Vanderford got an impressive win, finished the guy, and that's usually what Dana's looking for is to. That sounded wrong. Dana White's usually looking for a finish, right? Like a stoppage of some sort. And Austin Vanderford, who, by the way, that's Paige Van Zandt's husband. She was there with him and everything. He fights. He gets a stoppage, a TKO on somebody, but it was a bad night overall, and Dana didn't give him a contract. Maybe that was a personal thing because of Paige and her history. Who knows? But when it comes down to it, he didn't get it. And that happens to a lot of guys. And then they'll bring back certain guys, even if they win. Bo Nickel fought like 2, maybe even 3 times in the Contender Series. And then they brought him into the UFC. So that's just how that works. I do pay attention to it, but I'm usually just watching highlights and stuff. Like I said, it's tough. There's so much fights, like so many fights, so much fighting to watch. So it's hard to get to everything, especially when you have a job that you got to go do all day. But yeah, so check it out. Tuesday nights, ESPN Plus, I believe. And it usually starts early if you're over here on the West Coast and on the west side of the nation, country, whatever you want to say. I don't even know, man. I just keep going. Everything just keeps slipping away in my brain until it gets in my mouth, and then I say half of it, whatever. But yeah, so now we'll get one every week for, I don't know, what is it, 8 weeks, 10 weeks? I don't remember how many weeks it goes for. So if you're interested to see who you might, what kind of fights you might see on there, they're usually pretty good because they're fighting hard to get into the UFC. So they have something, there's motivation there, and they have something to lose if they lose, which is the possibility of getting a contract. So if you're looking to catch some fighters that are going to come up from the bottom and make their way to the top, like Sean O'Malley, Jamal Hill, people like that, check out the Contender series on Tuesday nights. Fucking pay me, UFC. I'm just kidding. I'm over here fucking free promotion. Anyway, more about Dana though. Dana was in the news a lot because of these press conferences, people asking him shit, and it's not like he's always happy about it. But of course, they asked the question that is never ever ending, which is, when is Conor McGregor coming back? Because of the multiple times we were already supposed to have that fight, and yet he still hasn't fought Michael Chandler. So Dana, just more outright than he had before, said this past week that he's not fighting this year. And he left it at that. There was no follow-up question. There was no pressing for a reason. No one said anything. That was it. He just said, he won't fight this year. And what we were hearing before was that it was in December. Conor said it himself. Chandler kind of said it as well. That's been because so this month, Perth, Australia, Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Obviously, that fight's happening this weekend, so that's done. Next month, Sphere in Las Vegas. That fight card's done. You know what I mean? It's done. The lineup's out there. Go look for it. You'll find it. October is Abu Dhabi, or Saudi Arabia. Abu Dhabi, I believe. And I don't even know who's headlining that one. But I know that card is done. What it sounded like. I'm going to go look real fast. That's a Sphere. 308. Main event. Oh, Topuria versus Holloway. That's right. Hamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Lerone Murphy, Dan Ige, Jeff Neal, Rafael Dos Anjos. Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Damn, this is a banger. That's right, because I do remember seeing all these. But dude, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway for the featherweight championship. The current champ versus the BMF champ. That's gonna be a hell of a fight. Anyway, October's done. November has its main event, from what we've heard. Stipe Miocic versus John Jones in Madison Square Garden. So that's done. And they're not going to put John Jones with Conor McGregor because those are two big money fighters. And also, they got to pay him pay-per-view points. So they don't want to pay two guys that get a lot of pay-per-view points for the eyes that they bring in on the same card. You're not going to see that happen then. That's why they didn't fight at 300. So that leaves December. We haven't really heard much about December except for the possibility of Conor versus Chandler. Now Dana's saying he's not fighting at all this year. But Conor had something to say about that. Dana, December is the date. Bring the calendar year home. Bring the calendar year home with a winning event. Come on now, what's this? I am off to altitude next month to prepare. December. Tell Dana and UFC we want December. We deserve December. So he goes from saying like December's the date, like it's said and done. He's all, come on now, what's this? And then he goes on to kind of beg everybody to help him say that that's what we want. It's like, no. You just said that was the date, and now you're telling us to ask for it. So what is it? This is why everybody keeps questioning. I'm sick and tired of fucking hearing about it. It's like, fight or don't fucking fight. But let's stop talking about it. Like, Conor, stop fucking trying to edge everybody and fucking get your shit together. And fucking Chandler is over there just talking shit like, oh, no, fuck, it's not happening. Yes, it is happening. He had something to say too. And of course, he's just talking shit to Dana. Just retire. Infinity says, I mean, it's not He's still under contract though. He's gonna finish out his contract before he does retire or before he does do anything, because he wants to just be free and do what he wants. Michael Chandler says that Conor just structuring his tweet the way Conor did to Dana. The sport will move on and thrive without you. Put to bed, laid to rest, soon a distant memory. You vastly overestimated your importance inside of this game for almost a decade. Godspeed. See, I would say for the past few years, yeah, Conor's name has dwindled further and further down the ladder of importance. He's still a star. Everyone still recognizes his name. Even the casuals, the newbies, everybody still knows who Conor McGregor is. So his popularity maybe hasn't dwindled that much, but as a fighter, being in the UFC, it kind of has. And that's what Chandler's referring to, except he said, for almost a decade, it's like, come on. But yeah, he didn't defend his title a bunch of times. His biggest thing is that he's a star. So, and you know, he did a lot for the sport, but it just seems he's on that path of being on his way out. It's kind of that time, because he can't stay healthy, and he just can't seem to show and prove that he wants fights constantly. He says it a lot, but he's always out there fucking around doing other shit. And it's fine, be a businessman, but be about the game when it's time to be about the game. And he hasn't really done that. So, and then you get the outside people that want to talk shit, and Jake Paul's one of those main people, of course. So he had something to say. Jake Paul, Dana, come on. December, pretty please. I'm going to train in the mountains. Ha 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 ha. He's making fun of Conor. Then he says, Cokehead Conor is so down, he's asking fans to help him get his fight booked. Not sure what's sadder, the downfall or that the biggest star in UFC history is controlled by Dana White like an employee and can't fight when he wants. So he's just throwing shots left and right to Dana and Conor. No surprise there, because if he could have a fight with Conor McGregor, that would for him be the pinnacle. Guaranteed, that's what he's always looking for. And then he's always taking shots at Dana, because Dana's taking shots at him. They've gone back and forth. The beef is real, and it's still out there. Magic said he ain't no Ric Flair. Definitely not. And Ric Flair competed in scripted shit. So, I don't know, two different things. But I get what you're saying, and you're right. So, but I guess he could be considered the Ric Flair of MMA, because he has the same kind of persona, and he kind of acts the same way. Yeah, I guess you could say that. But Jake's out there talking shit. No surprise. It's entertaining. But it's kind of at that point where it's like, dude, you're just talking to nobody. They don't listen. They don't care. It is what it is. So that's it for the Conor drama, the Dana drama, the Jake Paul sprinkles of drama. The soap opera continues, and that's just MMA for you right now. Continuing on, PFL, since they don't promote very well, I'll go ahead and give them a freebie here. not like it matters, but there is a card happening this week, because their playoffs are coming to fruition, getting to the championships and stuff. And we got Impa Kasangane, former UFC fighter, which I didn't realize that it was after he got released from the UFC, after that highlight reel that went viral KO of him from I forgot who it was already. God damn it. Joaquin Buckley. He got that spinning back kick to the face, got knocked out. And then apparently after that, he became homeless and had to live out of his car in the parking lot of his gym that he was training at. So then he comes back because he gets signed to the PFL and winds up winning a championship, winning the tournament, and gets $1 million prize. And now he's up for the second time in a row. So he goes from being homeless to a millionaire in like less than a year, which is crazy. Good for him, I say. And he's been looking pretty good in his fights. He's fighting Josh Silveira, We got Rob Wilkinson, also a former UFC fighter, fighting Duvlay Yagshimuradov, I think. I don't know. That's a lot of letters that don't look like they belong together. Next fight is Godsey Rabadanov versus Michael Dufort. Brent Primus, which is he's Primus, I'm not sure, but he was in Bellator for a while, fighting Clay Collard. And then Biagio Ali Walsh, who is Muhammad Ali's grandson, fighting Brian Stapleton. That's your main card for PFL, happening tomorrow night. It's the PFL Hollywood card, apparently, because it's happening in Hollywood, Florida. 9 p.m. Eastern time, so that's what, 6 p.m. here in Arizona. That's on ESPN, ESPN Plus. Go check it out if you are interested in watching a different organization for MMA. They do things a bit differently over there, kind of a season type thing. They try to, mirror the professionals, like professional sports that we're all used to, like all the ball games, baseball, football, basketball. They kind of do it that way. It's a little weird. They're a little off with their promotion. They have some good fighters. They acquired Bellator, so they have those fighters. They don't do pay-per-views very often, but they also don't, I don't know. It is what it is. It's hard to even cover it anymore, really, because you don't see a whole lot from it. So there is that card tomorrow night, though, if you want some MMA action to watch. On a Friday, you got that. So moving back to UFC 305 real quick, we have the Watch Party podcast happening live during the main card on Saturday for UFC 305. Duplessis versus Adesanya for the middleweight championship. Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg in the co-main event. Tai Tuivasa, hoping to see a shoey. That'd be dope. Watch us react live to all the fights. I do not show the fights. I can't. YouTube doesn't allow it. UFC is like my money. You don't get it. So they want everybody to pay for that shit. $80 every time. And you can't show it anywhere. So I can't show the fight. So if you're looking for them, I'm sorry. But if you want to listen to some alternative commentary, some funny stories, some funny conversations, and some good live reactions to the fights, you can feel like you're watching it with us. Technically in Town podcast will be joining me on Saturday night. Might have another guest or two, maybe a special guest a little bit before the main card starts. Not sure yet. Still lining things up, checking it out. We'll see what happens. I kind of decided last night I was actually going to do it. So I have a regular life that doesn't include MMA and this show. So I have to juggle things. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do the watch party, but I am. So check it out. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Arizona time. We'll be on, just think of it this way. Come to this channel when the main card starts for UFC 305. Mute that fucking commentary. And come over and listen to us talk about it and laugh with us while we react to all the fights and talk shit. It'll be fun. So check it out this Saturday. Same time, same place as this show today. Don't forget to subscribe and yeah, hit that notification bell. You'll know when I go live. So let's move on to the recap, which I'm reluctant to do because it's fucking ugh. Ew, brother. Ew. That's what this fight was. Now you might think, why the fuck am I saying that? Well, let's get into it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the 10 fights decisions. And I'm not talking like split decisions all the way through where it could have been very close, could have gone either way. Holy shit, that fight was crazy. No, there was one split decision fight that was decent. The rest of them, unanimous decision wins, which a lot of times means kind of boring, because it went the whole fucking. You gotta make it a crazy fight. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not totally against decisions, but I'm just saying this is Dana White gets pissed with it too because he knows that people get bored. It is what it is. Attention spans are short these days, and we all know that. That's why apps like TikTok and shit are popular. That's why Instagram Reels are popular. That's why YouTube Shorts are popular, because they're very short form. And yeah, I'm over here as I'm doing a fucking long form podcast that goes for an hour and a half. Like, I know, but that's what's popular these days. Attention spans are short. And yeah, so these long decisions, they don't do much for Dana or a lot of the fans. And I'm back and forth on it. Depends on how the fight goes. If I didn't watch it, I just assume it's probably shit. If I didn't see a bunch of highlights and hear a lot about it, it's usually the case. So Stephanie Luciano versus Talita Ellen Carr started the night in the strawweight division. Decision win for Luciano. We had the second fight of the night, got a submission by rear naked choke in the first round. Yusuf Zalal gets the win in the featherweight division over Jarno Aarons. Got two more decisions in a row. Johanata Denise versus Carl Williams in the heavyweight division. Denise gets that unanimous decision win there. Carol Rosa versus Pani Kianzad in the bantamweight division. For the women, Carol Rosa gets a unanimous decision there. We get another submission in the main card. Here we go. With Toshiomi Kazama versus Charalampos Gregorio. I believe that's how you say his name. That's in the bantamweight division for the men. Gregorio looked pretty decent with his striking, but Kazama catches him in the second round with a triangle choke and gets the submission win there to start off the main card. So, you know, after 4 fights that were not too impressive on the prelims, you get that to start off the main card. So it's looking up, right? Well, then we move into the women's catchweight division, because it was a catchweight at 141. Probably should have been 135, so it would have been a bantamweight fight. I'm not even sure what happened here. I would assume that it was Chelsea Chandler that couldn't make weight because she is a bigger girl, and I think she's had trouble with that before. Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kunitskaya, I don't believe has ever had any issues with weight, so I'm pretty sure it was a Chelsea Chandler problem, but I don't even know because I didn't even hear about it. So maybe I need to pay more attention, but that's the way this went. Yana Santos gets the win by unanimous decision. You know, there was some good striking happening. Yana's one of those kicker girls. She loves to kick. You can see she's pretty fucking ripped. Look at those veins in her fucking neck and chest and shoulder. God damn. Look at her quad on her leg that she's kicked. She's got some muscle. It's kind of impressive actually. But so I don't think she had weight issues, but and I'm not saying anything about Chelsea Chandler, but that girl's face just annoys me, especially after watching her run away from her opponent like she did like 2 fights ago, where she got hit and basically looked like she was fleeing from the cops because she turned and ran from one side of the cage to the other like she was gonna run out the cage, like a little kid that didn't think he'd get hit and then he gets smacked and realizes, oh shit, not good. If you know that drop, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Yana Santos, unanimous decision, gets the best of Chelsea Chandler. Looks like she got some good striking in on her. Probably punishes her for missing weight a little bit and thinking she's gonna come in and win. I don't even know. I should probably check. I'm talking shit. It could be the other way around, but it is what it is. That's how it went. Moving on to the next fight. Infinity. I should have still tried to get you in here, Infinity, since you said you were going to be able to make it anyway, or you could have made it anyway, but I was in the process of getting everything together and in a weird mood, as you can see. So I just kept it going. Plus, this fight's, I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm not going to get too far off here. Chris Gutierrez versus Quang Lee. Quang Lee was a last-minute replacement. I don't even remember who was supposed to fight. Let's see, does it say? No, it does not. I'm on the wrong page for that. It's all goog. Infinity with the typo. That shit's funny though. Chris Gutierrez versus Quang Lee in the bantamweight division. Another unanimous decision win here. Chris Gutierrez gets the win. Quang Lee again, last minute replacement. It was his UFC debut. and he loses to Gutierrez, he is a great fighter, shown improved it, moving his way up the ladder, trying to break into getting some bigger fights and some better competition probably, but so far, don't want to move him too quick, so he's getting the right opponents and he's looking impressive. So Chris Gutierrez with the win there. And then we got Danny Barlow versus Nikolai Veretennikov. This was a split decision win here. Sounded like it was a fairly decent fight, like I was saying earlier. A lot of hype around Danny Barlow. I think his nickname is like Left Hand of God or something like that. Left Hand to God. That's what his nickname is. Kind of catchy. I don't know. But yeah, he is on that was his second fight in the UFC, and he's undefeated so far. He came from Dana White's Contender series. So there you go, just another example. But yeah, so second fight in the UFC, gets a big win here. Split decision over Nikolai Veretennikov. Looked like some good striking coming from Barlow. And that's what he's known for, so makes sense. Good high kick there, and he winds up with the split decision win. That was a catchweight bout as well. Not sure why. That one's kind of weird too. But again, I didn't hear much. Usually when there's people are missing weight, dude in the yellow was like, I'd like to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. Fucking magics. He was talking about Gutierrez and Quang Lee. That's funny. What was I saying? Oh yeah, a lot of hype around Danny Barlow. A lot of people talking him up quite a bit, so that's someone to keep an eye on. That was only his second fight in the UFC, undefeated so far. Let's see how he handles that. Looks like he had a lot of wins in a row before that. Actually, let me look at his record. Oh, he's 9-0. He's undefeated overall. And I've talked about it many times before, how it's always a matter of when they get that first loss and how they react to it, whether if that undefeated record had to do with his opponents or if it was because of his actual skills and how good he is. So how you bounce back is a big factor in having a long-standing undefeated record, you know what I mean, especially when you get to the UFC. So 2-0, not bad, especially when his competition is at the lower level for now, because he's just getting in there. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him and see what happens with that. Moving on to Chepe Mariscal versus Damon Jackson. Oh shit, I missed one. That one punch there, I fucked it up again. Didn't know I had that many pictures for Barlow actually. Anyway, and I restarted the music. Damn it. Oh well. Chepe Mariscal versus Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson is one of those guys where he could come out and look fucking impressive as hell, or he gets his ass whooped, like gets beat up. He kind of gets beat up no matter what, but he takes damage. He's one of those guys. But I've seen him wreck fools, like come out within seconds, just have somebody on the ground and just banging on him. But this was not one of those fights for him, unfortunately for him. This was yet another catchweight fight at 150. There was 3 catchweight fights on this card. Crazy. And 3 of them out of the 6 fucking fights on the main card. So half the main card missed weight, which is probably another reason why Dana White was pissed. So yeah, Chepe Mariscal just putting in work against Damon Jackson, fucking beating him up, landing strikes, just looking good in this, not the main event, the co-main event. I almost said the main event. So, like I was saying, unanimous decisions usually mean, a lot of times mean boring fights, kind of, because you're just like, fuck. But Chepe was pressing with the action, so I'll give him that. Fucking catching Jackson on the chin, taking him down with some throws and some ground and pound, and then submission attempts. So there's a little bit of everything in this fight. You could see in some of those pictures how beat up Damon Jackson's face was. So yeah, taking damage, that was probably some of the best best parts of fights in this entire card, but I still didn't hear much about it, and that's a damn shame. So that means it must not have been that great. I did not watch every minute of all these fights because, to be honest with you, it was like, who cares right now? I tried to watch some of them. What was I doing Saturday? I think I was doing something. Oh yeah, it was an earlier fight night for one, and for two, we went to my friend Ray's house and had a little barbecue and stuff. I made about, I don't know, fucking 15 goddamn old fashions. Not just for me though. I was Ray put me in charge of making old fashions and had me bring all the stuff for it. He had the alcohol, so I brought everything else, and everybody wanted an old fashioned. Maybe that's a testament to how good my old fashions are. I'll just pat myself on the back for that one. I have perfected my own recipe, so, and people seem to like it. It's a strong drink, about 4.5 shots in this motherfucker, but it's good. If you like, whiskey, bourbon type drinks. Infinity says he needs one. Infinity's been lucky enough to try one, so he can attest to how good it is. But yeah, that's what I was doing Saturday. I was trying to remember why I wasn't able to just watch the fights, but I watched some of them, and yeah, it was just not fantastic, but this fight wasn't too bad. So moving to the main event, which at least it was short. It was a first round finish for Sergey Spivak over Marcin Tybura. They had fought each other before. Tybura got the win before in their last fight. Let me check and see. He beat him by, Jesus, where was it? Unanimous decision win for Tybura over Spivak, but that was way back in 2020. So Spivak comes back, gets his revenge, and now they're 1-1. So we'll see if they fight again down the road. But who knows? Spivak looked pretty good in this fight, landing some clean shots. And then eventually, what's happening here? That's what's happening. I skipped one, so I'm going through all my buttons and not seeing shit change. Shit. I'm too busy talking shit about this fight instead of paying attention to what I need to be doing. So there's another left. There's him fighting for position, trying to get that arm bar. Finally rolls him up, sinks it in, and Tybura taps. It was 1 minute and 44 seconds into the first round, so not a long fight there. Finished it off. I heard someone on another podcast saying, yeah, Spivak was like, hey, we get it, these fights have been boring tonight, let me end this shit for you quickly. And we all said thank you. That was pretty good. I was laughing at that one. So Morning Combat podcast, I believe it's called, that was Brian Campbell, I think, that said that. Funny shit. So yeah, Spivak gets the win by submission, armbar, and avenges his loss over Tybura from back in 2020. And that does it for UFC Vegas 95. Now let's get to this weekend's card, UFC 305, which for me, I mean, I hate saying it because I always hate it when I say it and then it sucks. Because I'm like, did I fucking jinx this one? Like, damn it. And I always think that way, and I gotta stop thinking that way. No, I didn't jinx it. God damn it. I want this card to be good. I want these fights to be good. At least give us good fights in the main card. And a lot of times, you start watching them, you start with the prelims and you're in and out kind of watching them and you're like, damn, these have been some good fights. You see a bunch of highlights all over the place on social media. Because if you're seeing post after post after post from everybody that posts about social media, that I repost, by the way, so follow all my social media going on right down there. And you can find everything good happening on Facebook and Instagram especially. But yeah, go check it out. Follow me everywhere. Going Around the podcast. But yeah, if you're seeing a bunch of stuff getting posted, that means that the fights have been pretty good. They'll usually post 1 or 2 things if the fights are mediocre, like this past weekend. But if you're seeing a bunch of highlights popping up, that means the prelims are going well. And unfortunately, a lot of times that means the main card might not follow up being as good. Or we might just be jaded by the fact that we just saw a bunch of great fights in the lower card And then we get to the main card, which has been hyped up all fucking week, all month or whatever. And then it's a little bit of a letdown. So you never know. This is why it's tough to bet on MMA. This is why it's tough to, I don't even know what to say about it. It's just tough to defend it being like the best of everything, because shit goes everywhere. It's all over the place with MMA. So, but this card I'm hoping is going to be great. The main card seems fantastic. A lot of fighters I like on the main card. Let's look at the lower cards. Not a whole lot going on down there. Right off the bat, I mean, Stuart Nickel 8-0 versus Jesus Santos Aguilar 10-2 in the flyweight division. Kenan Song versus Ricky Glenn in the welterweight division. Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes in the lightweight division. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns, that's Gilbert Burns' brother, in the featherweight division. Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos, who just fought a few weeks ago, actually. Let me check that out real quick, because she's 8-1 overall. And she just fought, in July 13th. So, okay, not a few weeks, but it felt like a few weeks. July 13th, what's today? So, yeah, just over a month ago, she fought and won by submission in the first round. So, she's fighting Casey O'Neill, who is a 9-2 fighter coming off 2 losses in a row, but big names, Jennifer Maia and Ariana Lipski. So, she's looking to snap that 2-fight losing streak, and Santos is looking to extend her win streak, which is right now at 1, 2, 3. She's on 3-fight win streak. This is her 4th fight in UFC, so she's 3-0 in the UFC, looking to extend that. So we got Joshua Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos in the featherweight division. That should be a pretty damn good fight. And then Junior Tafa, brother of Justin Tafa, in the heavyweight division versus Walter Walker, which is Johnny Walker's brother. So we got brothers of guys that have been in the UFC for a while fighting each other at heavyweight. And that's the main fight on the prelim card. So let's move into the main card. Going with the Leech, Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates. So I mean, the Leech has been that's a cool nickname for one. For two, he's been just kind of up and down. Like it's been kind of tough for him. He's one of those guys that's like, man, he could be really good, but he just keeps dropping fights. Like every time you think he's gonna go here, go there, it's tough. Prates has been looking pretty damn good. Let's see, we got Leech is 19-5 overall, 11-5 in the UFC. Prates is 15 or 19-6, and 2-0 in the UFC. Similar, they got a lot of KO TKO wins between them. I mean, the Leech is 10-0, has never been knocked out or TKO'd. Prates is 14-2. They got about 500 records there on submissions for both of them. Losing record in decisions for the Leech, while you got Prates 2-1, and Prates is on a 2-fight win streak. Those are his only 2 fights in the UFC. Jingliang's coming off a split decision loss to Daniel Rodriguez. It's a tough opponent. That was back in September of 22, so he hasn't fought in a while. But look at his record: loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So it's like he gets like a little bit of momentum, and then he loses, wins, comes back and loses. I mean, fighting big names though: Muslim Salikov, Hamzat Chimaev, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez. Those are, and he won against a couple of those guys. So I mean, you can't down on the guy too much, I guess. So he's a tough opponent for himself as well. He's got good striking. He's got submissions, so he's won both ways a lot, enough to know that he can do everything. But Prates is just one of those guys that everybody talks up, has looked good in his only 2 UFC fights, and is undefeated in the UFC right now. So on this one, Oh no. You know what I just remembered? I can do this really fast too, I think. What was I saying? Let me find this. Oh, so in this one, I did make picks. That's what I'm doing now because I'm dumb and I forgot to add them in, which I'm gonna do on the fly and hopefully not fuck anything up. But yeah, so it's hard to scale these down when you're not looking at it like you're used to. That's okay. I'm gonna go. There we go. Done and done. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I did make picks, and in this fight, I went ahead and picked Prates because it just feels like the better bet at the moment. The Leech has just been inconsistent, so it's tough. He's coming off a loss. If you go by the pattern, he's due to win, but Prates is a tough opponent, and he's looked damn good in his last 2 fights. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the favorite, Prates. I believe he's the favorite, and I will go over the odds as of today from DraftKings when I show you my picks at the end of this preview. So let's move on to the next fight. One of my favorites, a fan favorite of overall, Tai Tuivasa, Mr. Shuey himself, versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who had tons of potential. Everyone was high on Rozenstruik for a while, but he just can't seem to Infinity. I'll bring the graphic up at the end. I was just putting it in because I forgot to put it in, but I'll show the graphic at the end with all my picks. That's what he's referring to. He just texted me. Thanks for the oh, he said delayed. Thanks for the heads up. See, my boys got my back. You know, sometimes when that's what I mean, I appreciate that too, because if stuff's going wrong in the stream, I don't know, because I'm, you know, real time right here. I do have it playing over here. I can see what's happening, but I can't hear it. So if stuff's not going well, so and somebody I know is watching and they tell me, that's good. It can be distracting, but it's still good because at least I know that something's happening, or that I forgot something, because it happens a lot. Listen, I'm not perfect, okay? And I don't have all the time in the world to prep 1,000% on all this. I prep a lot as it is, so I fuck up. It's cool. It's real. Anyway, Rozenstruik, but he's dropped a few fights and hasn't looked good against the real, you know, elite of the elite guys. So against Tai Tuivasa, this is tough because I know Rozenstruik is good and he's got power, and he's just good overall. But Tai struggles with the wrestling, struggles with the grappling, and he's reckless. You know, there's not a lot of proper technique or strategy. It's a lot of just kind of street fight winging punches and kicks. I mean, he doesn't look bad doing it. It's just that it doesn't work against a higher level opponent. He's unfortunately on a 4-fight losing streak, which I'm surprised that he is still in the UFC. But like I said, he's a fan favorite. He brings a lot of eyes, and a lot of people like him quite a bit. And he's just a likable guy, man. He's funny. He laughs all the time. He's had fun fights, and when he wins, he does a shoey, and that's entertaining as fuck. By the way, if you don't know what a shoey is, he gets a shoe. It's an Australian, New Zealand thing. I don't know which one it is, but yeah, it's some kind of thing. And a lot of times, the original way they do it is they actually pass it around to the people in front of them. Everybody pours a bit of their drink in it. Everyone spits in it, and that person's got to drink it out of a fucking shoe that came off somebody's sweaty ass foot. But that's what they do. Savage. So he's done it in the cage before. He's done it on his walkout, except for some asshole one time because he fought on a Dustin Poirier card. Some dickhead put Dustin Poirier's hot sauce all inside. So that sucked. But yeah, he does a shoey. It's hilarious. It's entertaining. It's fun. So that's why a lot of people like him. But he just hasn't gotten a win in a while. 4-fight losing streak. It's tough, man. 14-7 overall, 8-7 in the UFC, 13-3 in KO TKOs. He's never won by submission, but been submitted 3 times. 1-1 in decisions. 4-fight losing streak. Fuck. My boy has to get his shit together. And y'all wonder where COVID came from? God damn it, Magics. Shit. Rozenstruik is 14-5 overall, 6-5 in the UFC. I mean, they got similar records, man. I mean, at least Rozenstruik's record is, did I say 8-7? It's 6-7, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it is 8. 8-7 for Tai, and 6-5 or 8-5. It's hard to tell. Fuck, I don't know. But yeah, they got similar records. 13-2 for KO TKOs, 0-1 in submissions, 1-2 by decision. But Rozenstruik is coming off a win. So let's see. Tai is his last 4 fights: Marcin Tybura, who just lost to Spivak, Alexander Volkov, Sergey Pavlovich, and Cyril Gane, which, by the way, Cyril Gane fight, that was a great fight. I mean, he dropped Cyril Gane, which nobody had done yet. And everyone was crazy excited to see that because Cyril Gane is so fucking fast and athletic. And Tai's just kind of that dude that sits on his punches and wings them. For him to knock down Cyril Gane like he did, that was great. And he hung in there. He was a fucking warrior. But he wound up getting KO'd by Cyril late in the third round. So that started his 4-fight losing streak. But those are all big names. Before that, he beat Derek Lewis, Augustus Sakai, Greg Hardy, Harry Hunsucker, Stefan Struve. He lost to Spivak a while back too. So, you know, he's fought a lot of the big names. Not a great record, which sucks. But he's still my boy. I like him a lot. And I want to see him get a win, especially after losing 4 fights in a row. So I'm just doing a favoritism fucking pick here, and I'm picking Mr. Shuey himself. There he is doing the Shuey. That's probably the most iconic one he's done in the cage or on the cage. He tossed him up a shoe, tossed him up a beer, he filled it up, drank that shit. But yeah, Rozenstruik's looking to come in there and hand him his 5th loss in a row, which I would hate to see. I don't know if the UFC would get rid of him that quickly. They might give him like Tony Ferguson type leeway, 8 fights in a row. I don't know. He's halfway there already. So, but Rozenstruik's coming off of a win by TKO over Shamil Gaziev. Before that, lost to Jelton Almeida. Won against Chris Dawkins. So, Jairzinho W. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Jairzinho's getting the win here. But like I said, against the higher opponents like Volkov, Curtis Blades, Cyril Gane, Francis Ngannou, he's lost to all of them. It seems like the guys that are just under the elite are the ones he's getting wins on. Tai Tuivasa is probably one of those guys. So I'm thinking, yeah, Rozenstruik for the dub here. But I'm gonna play my fucking favoritism here, and I'm going for Tai. So I did pick Tai. I will go over all my picks at the end of, you know, previewing all the fights here. I'll have a graphic to show you all my picks with the current DraftKings odds. So yes, the smart bet would be to bet on Jairzinho, but I'm going with Tai Tuivasa. So let's move on to a fucking banger of a fight here. Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Gamrot's just a beast, man. 24-2, 7-2 in the UFC, 8-0 by KO TKO, 5-0 subs, 11-2 decisions. He's on a 3-fight win streak against Dan Hooker, who is looking to get a big win, looking to impress in, you know, the home field advantage fight here. 23-12 overall, 13-8 in the UFC, 11-3 by KO TKOs, 7-3 in subs, 5-6 in decisions. He's on a 2-fight win streak himself. So one of these guys is going to get their first loss in a bit. And as of right now, it seems Dan Hooker is the underdog. Gamrot, though, I mean, if you've watched any of his fights in the recent past, I mean, he's gotten dropped. If he gets hit, he gets dropped. And Dan Hooker is one of those guys that if he hits you, he's dropping you. So those two things mixed, Hooker could come away with a win here with, you know, a well-placed, well-timed, and strategic shot that'll put Gamrot out, because it seems Gamrot has a bit of a weakness for something. Even if he survives it, you know, he still gets dropped, and it's just one of those things. Will we see that here, though? I don't know. I mean, Dan Hooker, he's one of those guys you can't ever count him out, but you can't always count on him. So Gamrot has that 3-fight win streak. Let's see, Rafael Dos Anjos, Rafael Fiziev, and Jalen Turner. That's impressive. Jalen Turner win. That was a split decision win for Gamrot. Fiziev was a TKO knee injury and a unanimous decision win over Dos Anjos. His last loss was against Beneil Dariush. That was a unanimous decision there. But I mean, look, he's fought Arman Tsarukyan, Diego Fajeda, Jeremy Stevens, Scotty Holtzman, all wins there. He's fought some big names, so not bad. You know, he's got the striking. There's a big punch against Jalen Turner. And then he's also got submissions. That's a nasty Kimura there against Jeremy Stevens. And that's how he got the win in the first round, minute 5 seconds in. Big Kimura over Jeremy Stevens. So yeah, he's got submissions, he's got good striking. And then we got Dan Hooker. Like I said, you can't count him out, but you also can't really count on him at all times. He's got a weird kind of pattern going on in his record. It's a big punch against Jalen Turner. That was his last win. That was actually an impressive ass fight. And Hooker's one of those guys that takes a lot of damage as well. Almost always going to see some blood coming out of him. You know, he takes hits. He's got a lot of scar tissue. He's going to take damage. That's just how it is with Dan Hooker. So you know it's going to be an exciting fight almost always. It's just a matter of whether you're counting on him to win or not. That makes it disappointing because he will drop fights. But his last win was against Jalen Turner, and then Claudio Puelles before that. That was a split decision over Turner, TKO over Puelles. And then before that, it was 2-fight losing streak. Arnold Allen and Islam Makhachev. Tough opponents. Loses by TKO and then by submission. Nasrat Haqparast, unanimous decision win for him. And then another 2-fight losing streak. But look at these names. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. He went to decision with Poirier. That was a hell of a fight. Got TKO'd in the first round by Michael Chandler. Before that, Paul Felder, Eli Quinta, James Vick, all wins. 2 by decision, 1 by KO. I mean, he's fought the best of the best. Gilbert Burns, Edson Barboza, Jim Miller, Mark Diakase. I mean, he's got a lot of big names on his record. And they've both fought and beat Jalen Turner, who's a beast himself. So, you know, like I said, it's kind of one of those toss-up fights, but I think right now Gamrot is the favorite. I'm pulling decision with Poirier. Damn. Yeah, exactly. I'm pulling for Hooker though. I am, because I like him. I've always liked him as a fighter, and to see, you know, he's on his home turf, so I'm figuring he's definitely gonna be out there to get a dub, and a big one at that. And that's a big win against Mateusz Gamrot. So it's a good big win that he needs. So he wants to try to extend that win streak, keep working his way up to be a contender, and put Gamrot back a little bit. So I think, if I remember correctly, I picked Dan Hooker in this one. He is the underdog. So let's move on to Kai France versus Steve Erceg for the co-main event. This is a good one too. I'm excited for this one. Kai France hasn't fought in a while because he was injured. He was supposed to fight Manel Kopp a while back. Didn't get to fight that. But Yeah, well, he fought in June. Okay, it wasn't that long ago. For some reason, I thought it was further. I think I was thinking of his Brandon Moreno fight in 22. But that was a split decision loss to Amir Albazi for Kai Kara France. And then Brandon Moreno, he lost as well by TKO. He's 31 years old, 24-11 overall, 7-4 in the UFC, 11-3 by KO, TKO, 3-3 in submissions, and 10-5 by decision. So a lot of decision fights there for him. Like I said, on a 2-fight losing streak against Steve Erceg, who's coming off that championship loss to Alexandre Pantoja. But Erceg's only had a few fights in the UFC. That was only his 4th fight, and that he got his first loss in the UFC. So a fast run to the championship, but that's how good he is. Steve Erceg gets to a championship fight in his fourth fight in the UFC, and it was a good fight. It could have gone his way. I think he gave up or he went for a takedown, and that's what put him out in that last round. But I think it was a pretty close fight. I feel like it was tied going into the 5th, and if he would have, kept up with the strategy he had going earlier in the fight and keep up with the good technical striking and just keep up with that good fight IQ, he could have pulled it out. But he made a bad decision, went for a takedown, and it put him in a bad position to end the fight, and that's what caused Pantoja to keep the title under his name and keep the belt, and Erceg got the loss, unfortunately. He's 12-2 overall, 3-1 in the UFC, 2-0 in KO TKOs, 6-0 by sub, and 4-2 in decisions, coming off that loss to Pantoja. Like I said. So yeah, Kai Kara France, he's small, but he's got a big punch, man. He's got some power, and that's something he's got to utilize against Erceg, because Erceg's kind of one of those big, well-rounded fighters. You know what I mean? He's a little bigger. When I think of Kai Kara France and Steve Erceg, I'm thinking possibly even different divisions. Just thinking about them in stature and the type of, frame they have. But they are in the same weight division, and Kai Kara France just seems like such a smaller guy a lot of times. But man, he's got a big punch, and usually involved in exciting fights. And against Erceg, he's definitely gonna have to pick his punches as well, be smart, and take advantage of that power of his. So there we go again against Albazi. Even though he lost that fight, he's always landing and landing on the button and trying to put somebody out. So Kai Kara France is he is a great fighter, and I do like to see him win, especially because he's from this area as well. But Steve Erceg, as I was explaining before, short run to the title, gets in the UFC, fights 3 fights, gets a win in all of them. 2 of them were unanimous decisions over David Dovrak and Alessandre Costa, and then Matt Schnell, he won by KO. Then he gets the title shot against Alexandre Pantoja and loses by unanimous decision. Shouldn't have been unanimous though. I feel like should have been split, because that was a tough one. I feel like it was a lot closer than unanimous, but the scorecards tell the truth, not really the outright decision. But when you see split, it's a lot closer. So I feel like that should have been more of a split decision. That one mistake cost him a possible early championship belt. But he is a good fighter, and he doesn't look like a fighter, but he's definitely a fighter. And he's got talent. He's got an all-around good game. Here he is with some punches, a big knee, more punching. He's got a decent amount of submissions in his record as well. If you go back a couple years, you see a lot of submission wins. Rear naked choke, guillotine, rear naked, triangle. A lot of chokes, man. So you got to watch your neck against Erceg. So Kai Kara France needs to watch out when he's going in for that takedown and use that power to try to keep Erceg at bay and maybe catch him and stop him early. I believe, though, as much as I hate to say it, I believe I went with Erceg here. I do like Steve Erceg, don't get me wrong. I do feel like he's a better fighter against Kai Kara France, but I like Kai Kara France a lot. So that's a tough one that I had to pick, but I did pick it that way, if I remember correctly. We'll find out very shortly. because we are now at the main event. Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Oh man, I'm dropping stuff. I'm excited for this fight because there's beef here. There's bad blood. If you remember, they had a run in the cage last year's International Fight Week for the UFC when Dricus du Plessis beat Robert Whittaker in impressive fashion, and Israel Adesanya was there cage side. They get him in a face-to-face because they know that there was already beef there with Dricus talking shit about being the real African because he's from South Africa, as opposed to Izzy, Usman, and Ngannou, which he says, you know, he's the real African because he still resides there, because he still trains there. Adesanya is where my money's at. Oh, Infinity's going with Adesanya. Yeah. But yeah, so Dricus talking all that shit. So Izzy took offense to that, of course, and then they faced off in the cage. Izzy had some choice words that normally, no, I won't even. I'm not even gonna say anything. But you can go see that. It was intense. It was cool. It was a fun little interaction, and it was exciting for a fight week, International Fight Week fight. So we got Dricus winds up beating Sean Strickland, who beat Adesanya to get the title. Strickland only had it for, you know, that one win over Izzy, and then he fought Dricus and lost. So right away loses the title in its first defense, and Dricus du Plessis gets to be the champ, and now it just all aligns. Now Izzy finally gets that fight. They thought it was going to happen if Strickland would have lost to Izzy, they would have happened right after that. But because he won, had to wait a little longer to see this fight, but it's only been, what, just over a year? So that was Izzy's last fight was against Sean Strickland back in whenever the fuck it was. I don't even remember. 11 months ago, I heard, was the last thing I heard. It was, I'll figure that out soon. But anyway, Dricus versus Israel Adesanya. Du Plessis being the champ right now, 21-2 overall, 7-0 in the UFC, undefeated, trying to keep that undefeated record. But after he loses to, I mean, if he loses to Izzy, we'll see how he bounces back from his first loss in the UFC. He's not undefeated overall, so he knows what it's like to lose, but he hasn't lost in the UFC yet, even though he didn't look good in a few of his fights before he got his nose fixed and was able to breathe right, according to him and his team. He's 9-1 in KO TKOs, 10-1 in subs, 2-0 by decision. He's on a 7-fight win streak, obviously, because he's 7-0 in the UFC. Izzy's 24-3 overall, 13-3 in the UFC, 16-1 by KO TKOs. The only KO he suffered was against Alex Pereira, which he got back and KO'd Alex. So that's impressive on its own, considering where Alex Pereira is now with his career. But Izzy has not won or lost in the submission category, and he's 5-2 in decisions, coming off a loss to Sean Strickland when he lost his title. So he gets an immediate rematch, according to him, because he hasn't fought since that, but it's not against the same opponent because he's been off for a while, which he needed. He said initially he said he was going to be gone for like 5 to 7 years, which was crazy. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about there. I think it was just in his feelings. Just, man, he had been worn thin. It was like he was fighting a lot. He was carrying the organization, like, with how many times he was defending, how quickly he was fighting. He didn't have any time off. And a lot of times that's what they like and that's what they do, but it all catches up to you. And when it does, it comes out to be bad in the end. And that's what kind of happened for Izzy. So, of course, you got all the haters out there talking about, you know, basically Izzy lost his title to Pereira, gets a rematch, wins it back, and then loses it right away to Strickland. I get that. You know, it seems like he's fallen off maybe. But I would say, you know, I think he's still got enough under his belt to keep him going for a couple years, maybe get the belt back, defend a couple times. And when he loses it, maybe call it a day then, or whenever he loses it, fight a couple big, exciting fights and then call it, you know? I don't think he's got too many more years left, but I do think he's got a couple more under his belt to, you know, get this title back, you know, have a little run, and then make some extra money, and then peace out. So I'm not hating on Izzy at all. I think he's one of my favorite fighters. I like him a lot, and I feel like against Dricus, I don't like Duplessis that much. So Izzy called him Dickless Dupussy at one point in time, and I don't know why I just remembered that, but that shit made me laugh, so I had to say it out loud. Shit's funny, but Izzy's funny like that. So let's get to it. I mean, here's the kind of tail of the tape right here. Obviously Duplessis is a champ right now. Izzy's a former 2-time champion. 7-fight win streak for Dricus. 8 UFC title fight wins. Second in UFC middleweight history for Adesanya. And then we got, you know, just some fucking stats there. Takedown accuracy and significant strikes per minute for Dricus, as opposed to the performance bonuses that he's tied 3rd overall in UFC history. Izzy is, and then he's got 13 knockdowns. So just some cool stats there. Here's that face-off I was talking about before. So you know you're watching the right one if you see Izzy in the black and white shirt and Dricus in the cage when he beat Robert Whittaker. This was the face-off I was talking about. Pretty funny stuff. Go check it out on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it there, anywhere else. But Dricus got that big punch against Sean Strickland, which I always like seeing Sean Strickland get punched in the face, so I had to add this one in there. But you could see Dricus's face was beat up too. It was a close fight. A lot of people thought Sean Strickland probably edged that out, but it wasn't an impressive fight for Strickland at all. Duplessis just looked good, and yeah, he got some good punches in. I mean, there's another big punch for him. He does have some power. He's very awkward, like kind of like Sean Strickland, but he just seems to be maybe a little more accurate and a little more aggressive than Strickland is, and that's what makes him dangerous. This was, oh shit. There's a big punch against Robert Whittaker, which, by the way, that was one of the fights that he just looked super impressive in. That's the fight that got him the title fight after Adesanya lost to Strickland. And then, you know, he gets to Strickland, wins a split decision. Like I said, it was close as fuck. But he gets a split decision win over Sean Strickland. He got that win over Robert Whittaker in the 2nd round by TKO. He's beat Derek Brunson, Darren Till, Brad Tavares, Trevin Giles. I mean, that's a lot of big names early on in his career too. So, I mean, his first 2 opponents were like the least. Oh, his first opponent, Marcus Perez, probably the least known out of the rest of his resume. So yeah, he worked his way up quick. 7-0 in the UFC, current champion. Got good striking and heavy hands, and he's a very awkward fighter. So that's going to be tough for Izzy, because Izzy's the type of guy who likes to counterpunch. He used to be the aggressor for a while. I wouldn't ever say he was really aggressive. He's very strategic. But you know, I heard an interview with one of his coaches where he said that he feels like Izzy needs to go back to the old school ways of fighting for him. Go back to that passion that he had. Go back to that explosiveness that he had. Go back to taking some chances that he had a lot of success with back in the day, like stuff like this against Robert Whittaker. I mean, it just seemed like he had Robert Whittaker's number though, so that's what's crazy. But I mean, not that long ago did he knock out Alex Pereira with that crazy, you know, punch and celebration afterwards, after the little rope-a-dope where it looked like Pereira had him in the same position he had him in this actual fight, where he wound up losing against Pereira. So, you know, it hasn't been that long ago. It's not like he's dropped a bunch of fights in a row. But stuff like this where, you know, leaning back, catching punches still, He used to have this crazy precision and accuracy, and it just seems like he's very timid these days. I don't know if that knockout from Pereira did something to him mentally, and it's got a block in there somewhere. But you know, he avenged that loss in a big way with this big knockout of Pereira to get the belt back. But when he got in there with Strickland is just so awkward. He has a great Philly shell defense, and he's just a good boxer. And he put the pressure and kept Izzy on his back foot, kept him up against the cage, and took advantage and dropped him in the first round too. And maybe this was a testament to Izzy's, active career that he's had, just constantly fighting, not having a rest, not having a break, lots of media, lots of, things that he had to do, and maybe he needed a break. And now he's taking about an 11-month break. So we'll see if he can come back and do big things against Dricus du Plessis, who he has bad blood with. Hopefully he doesn't fight too emotional. Hopefully he takes it out on him in the right ways. My money's with Izzy as well, Infinity, like he said earlier. I'm hoping for hopefully a crazy knockout like this with a big celebration in the best ways like Izzy does. That would be sick. That'd be a hell of a way to make up for this past week's shitball of a card and come out with a great main event win. So my money's on Izzy, like I said. Here's my picks and DraftKings odds as of today. Israel Adesanya is a minus 118 favorite, but it's kind of a pick'em fight because I believe they have du Plessis as a minus 110. So it's kind of a pick'em fight. The crowd on Saturday can see our reaction. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, when Izzy knocks out du Plessis and does that crazy celebration, yeah, we're going to be going nuts. So it's going to be fun to watch our reaction to all of it. So check it out on Saturday. Co-main event, Steve Erceg. Unfortunately, I'm picking against Kai Kara France, but I just feel like Steve Erceg is that dude right now. He's a minus 175 favorite. I'm going with the underdog at plus 275, Dan Hooker, to beat Mateusz Gamrot. I'm taking a chance on that one. And then we got Tai Tuivasa. That's a go with my heart. I don't want to see Tai get his 5th loss in a row. So guess I'm not cooked. I think that's Christian Flores Garcia. Thanks for the interaction, man. Let's see. Oh, I missed that up there. Izzy, Yair, Hooker, Steve, plus 1150. Going in balls deep. No Diddy. Am I cooked? Oh, my bad, bro. I completely missed your comment. So I apologize for that. So yeah, comparison to mine, Izzy, Jarzinho, Hooker, Steve. Yeah, that's the only one. But like I said, man, it's not a smart pick for me. Tai Tuivasa is just one of my favorites, and I don't want to see him get that 5th loss. So I'm going with him at a plus 180 underdog. He's not that big of an underdog, so he's got a chance. And then Prates minus 375 over the Leech. So yeah, when I put these graphics up, I make my picks a lot of times, especially pay-per-views. I'll definitely make picks, but yeah, if you see the money next to where it says main card parlay, that means I'm going to parlay all these picks together and I'm putting money on it. If you see main card picks only, no money next to it, that means I'm not betting on them. Those are just my picks. Do what you will with them. Modify them, go with them, put money on it. If you win big, good for you. If you don't win, don't blame me. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So Christian in the chat, good luck on your parlay there, plus 1150. That's good, man. Hopefully you're not betting too crazy, but enough to make it worth it. I'm gonna bet this parlay, and then I usually do like 1 or 2 other parlays just to see if I can, cover it a little bit. I never spend more than $20 though. I keep it low, especially because I suck at betting. I can talk about these fights all the time, but I suck at betting. It's like a curse. So take that into consideration too. Maybe go against every one of my picks, and that might be your best bet. Who knows? Either way, those are my picks. That's it. I'm done with UFC 305, but I'm excited for it. And hopefully it's going to be a great card and a great watch party. So Saturday, during the main card, come back here, same time, same channel, and watch us react to UFC 305. I will not show the fights. I'm sorry, I can't. I want to keep my channel active. So you're going live during the match. I used to start with 5. Been winning past 5 weeks. Hell yeah, keep that up, man. I'm glad to hear when people win. I just want to start winning, god damn it. You know what? What betting site are you on to get that plus 1150 for that parlay? Because I might just go with your parlay and put some money on that and see if you can win me some money too. That's how I get my payment, by betting on your bets or on your picks and winning on them. Maybe that'll happen. We'll see. Let me know where you're betting at though. But anyway, Saturday night during the main card, I will be live. I'll have my buddies from my other podcast, the Technically Unsound podcast. They'll be in here. I might have some other in-studio guests, but I'm not sure yet. So come on Saturday, check it out. FanDuel. Christian Garcia says FanDuel. Okay. I'll see what it is on DraftKings. That's what I usually use, but I've been thinking about branching out. Maybe I'll try FanDuel. So yeah, check it out. Saturday night. Don't forget. Watch Party Podcast. It's going to be fun. Why am I not? Hopefully you guys are hearing the outro music, but I'm not sure because I can't hear. So sounds like you are hearing it. So that's good. Anyway, yeah, come back Saturday night during the main card. Watch the watch party with us and have a good time. And don't forget to watch PFL if you want to tomorrow night. If you want to watch some fights, you can watch that on ESPN, ESPN Plus. Saturday night, ESPN, ESPN Plus pay-per-view. So you'll have to pay for that. Check it out Saturday night. Watch the watch party with us. That's it. I'm out. Thanks again to everybody in the chat. Infinity, Magix, Christian, my wife, my mom. Thank you guys all for helping me keep the conversation going. And yeah, that's it. I'm out. Peace.